station. We are the future of radio.
All right. All right, we're back now. We're trying to fix your credit here now. Trying to understand the problem that people have with their credit and how to get to the bottom line of the credit problem, trying to fix it and get it all paid off. So, again, you was talking earlier before we had to go off for the interview, before the message. But now, can you finish it off and tell us what we do, what else we do to make sure we stay up to part of what we're doing?
Okay, so the biggest things with your credit report or your FICO. So the thing is there's Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. So your job is to just report whatever's going on with you. All right. So if you got a mortgage or a car note, that's kind of like mandatory. Mm-hmm. So lenders gonna look at that as like, well, you have to have that. So they expect you to put that over as priority over everything else. Mm-hmm. So just understand that when you have credit cards, if you can't really afford to buy something like furniture, don't go to our van and get with $5,000 and just furnish your whole house. You know, if you know you ain't got the money to afford all this furniture, because guess what? If you can't pay for it, now your credit's ruined over some furniture. So if you're in a financial bind, you better off just buying things cash, you know, until you can afford it. Maybe just get one thing. Maybe just get a dining room table with Art Van. Don't go and get a leather couch, dining room table, and bedroom set, this and that.
Well, you know how we think and how we are as people. We think, man, this looks so good in my house. I'll be fabulous with this.
Yeah, it's emotional thinking. It's the keeping up with the Jones. And I wish I could find out who these Jones people are, so we can get rid of them, because it's keeping up with the Joneses has hurt so many of us, especially, you know, as black folks. You know, we're always trying to keep up with what somebody else is doing, and it's really hurting us, you know, financially, and it's getting us deeper and deeper into a hole. And I think that's part of a lot of our credit problems. It's not really cars, or it's not really our necessities. It's the miscellaneous things that's getting us in trouble. Christmas shopping, you know, going, you know, buying furniture, buying, you know, objects that, or things that we just can't afford. And when I say can't afford, that means one bad thing, you getting sick, getting fired.
You get caught with buying things, not just you can't afford, but things that you think that you feel that you need. You really don't need them, but you say, oh, it'd be great if I had this.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get it. All you got to do is swipe that card. Yeah. It's just, you ain't got to put no money. See, if you got to pay for it cash, that cash is gone. Yeah, it's usually something you have to work, you have to save it up. But if you just got that credit card, and you see that 75-inch, you know, 4K TV.
Yeah.
One swipe is yours. You can take it home.
Have that, yeah. You know, and really, you really don't. You have a nice TV at home, and you really don't need that. But you just see that, and you really, really want that. That's the best thought. Every human being, they see something nice, and they believe that they really have to have it. But you can do without it. You have done without it all this year. Why can't you just not even have it?
Yeah, and so I really encourage people to, if you got credit cards, if you got something in our van, anything, just use a small percentage of what they give you. Just because they give you $3,000 credit line, that don't mean you use all $3,000. Maybe just use like a small. Maybe just use $500. Maybe buy things that are manageable. You know, don't go overboard, and then it's easier to pay it back.
Like me, man, that's 3,000. Man, I'm blowing that 3,000.
You get it?
I'll give me something I'm be happy with, man. It'll make me happy.
Right.
Well, anyway, yeah. So that's kind of hard to pass up the opportunity. The opportunity's there. It's really kind of hard to pass it up.
Yeah, it is, but you know, we have to start thinking more bigger picture. Like to me, I've gotten to the point because I've made all those credit mistakes, but I'm thinking like my score is valuable because it can. Most of us we weren't born with trust funds and inheritances. You know, our parents didn't have like, oh, you know, when you get 18, you got a $500,000, you know, to do whatever, to start a business or anything like that. So we don't have much. So we're not really in a position to be taking these big risks and with all these expenditures. We need to be thinking like, okay, if I just fix my score, if I just pay my income taxes, you know, if I just don't have negative drafts on my bank accounts, I can be in a position in the next 5 to 10 years to set my whole family up with a business. It can be anything. It can be selling cookies, barbershop, hair salon, mechanic shop, a body shop, you know, anything. You know, just think about all the talented people that you know that can fix cars, that can braid hair, that's bakers, that can make the best fried chicken. All you need is a little business training and decent credit, and you can get stuff going.
Well, you know, but everybody don't think like that because I know a lot of people with a lot of talent, a lot of ability, but they don't think like that. I can take this ability and I can apply it to what I'm trying to do and make it. Everything will work. Everything will work because the first thought in your mind. It doesn't necessarily have to happen like that. Things are always a lot different. Oh, so I want to ask you a question on the credit line point. What will be your credit line and what will be my credit line?
As far as what?
As far as get a loan for a score or a loan to have a score, a good score.
Basically, you want to have at least over 680.
Oh.
So with FICO scores, anything under 680 or around that, you kind of get into the subprime realm. So as far as cars, mortgages, you're kind of limited in which, you know, type of loans and credit cards you get. But when you get over 680, it totally changes. Your interest rates gets lower.
What would my income have to be to have a loan like that? To get it in a credit ramification? What would my credit loan have to be?
You know, income is not as important long as you are working.
But if you get a loan, income got to be important because they're gonna determine how much loan they'll give you.
It can be. It can be, especially with like SBA or what's called installment loans. Installment loans is as soon as you get this money, the clock's ticking.
Right.
So let's say, all right, I give you what's called an installment loan. That means if I give you $50,000, you got to start making monthly payments with interest, right? But if you get what's called a line of credit, you're only paying off what you use. All right, so that's a totally different situation. So you may get $50,000, but you may only need $5,000, you know, at first, and so you only making payments off what you've used already, as opposed to getting an installment loan.
So in other words, if I get a $50,000 loan, you will hold that. You will hold that money. You will give me an amount of money that I need.
You want to go by Amber?
Well, let's say see a lot of credit. You're using the money at your discretion.
Right.
The installment loan. Basically, they're under the impression is that they're giving you this loan, but now you have dedicated payments every single month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with a line of credit, it's not necessarily every month. It's just only if you use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your credit line stays there. It's there for when you need it.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not something that you go. Well, it could be something you go every month. You take off $2,000, $3,000. Well, that's your decision that you have to make. All right, we'll go to the line. We got a call. Hello, you on air with Thomas Hearns. May I help you?
Well, there's a couple things you can do. If you've been dedicated for, like you said, 2-3 years, communication is important. So you want to talk to someone, whoever your lender is, and let them know what's going on, and just let them know that this situation is temporary and it's not permanent, and that your intentions are to keep good relationships with them and to keep paying. Okay, so if you're 30 days late, 60 days late, that can be very detrimental to your credit. But there is something called a forgiveness letter, and you can send forgiveness letters to your lenders. And if you had a good track record and this was like your only hiccup, you can send them that letter, and you have a good chance of them not holding those 30 or 60-day late payments against you. Okay, so that's why making your payments every single month is important over time, because if you do get in a situation, if you already have a good history, it's just like anything. If I've been doing great on the job, for years, and then I run into a situation where I can't be at work, if I'm never late, if I'm always there on time, and I'm always working and productive, they're not going to hold that against me as somebody who's late all the time, is always missing days. So it's the kind of same with lending. If you have a good track record, they're more lenient, and they're more they're more willing to work with you, if you just have something temporarily. So is that answering your question? Yeah, typically when you have a 30-day late, it can be you can lose 70, 80 points just on one 30-day late. So what they'll do is, if they forgive you, they'll just put you back to where you were. So what they may do is they may set you up on some type of payment plan. So you just have to make sure if they're gonna take that away, usually they're gonna ask for something. So they may say, okay, it cost you 70 points because you were late, so maybe you owe $500, and you may say, well, I can pay this $500 that I was late on in the next 4 months. So you just have to make sure that you can, whatever that agreement is, that you can actually follow up with that. So if it's going to take longer, then tell them it's going to take longer.
But that would if it's going to take longer, I think that will hurt your chance of getting a loan.
No, one thing typically won't hurt you from getting a loan. Like if you have 3 or 4 positive credit reports going on, and you just had one snag, that's not going to hurt you. What hurts people is when they start getting multiple things. When you start getting 2, 3, 30-day lates, you got high utilization, you're using all the money that's giving you, and you got a lot of credit inquiries, you running around trying to get loans everywhere. So it's usually multiple things that stop you from not getting approved. So my job is, before you even go to get funding, first of all, I want to find out what exactly that you need, because funding might not always be the answer. Sometimes it could be leasing. So let's say I want to start my own truck driving company, right?
You need money.
I'm going to need a truck, right? So maybe getting money to buy a truck isn't the answer. Maybe I should lease the truck. Maybe it could be a month-to-month thing. So now I'm not married to this equipment, and it's more of a temporary thing, as opposed to you going all in for something at the very beginning. So it's just knowing what the best situation is at that time.
But it's still you need to borrow money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just about what your level of commitment is. Maybe you just can't handle something like, getting a loan right off the bat, where now you're married to this truck. It's all on you. Maybe you have to, you can put yourself in a situation where it's something you can actually handle. And I encourage that, especially for new entrepreneurs, not to take on too much too soon. Do something that's manageable.
So what is too much too soon? A lot of people don't have a clue what's too much too soon. You know what I'm saying? Too much too soon, because when you want something, you want to do something, you want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and regardless of a lot or a little bit, you say, yeah, I'm doing it. But a lot, you might say,
Well, it's called patience. You know, like when you start boxing, you didn't just wake up and just become champion. You know, it took thousands and thousands of hours of training to get to that point. You know, so it's the same thing with being a successful entrepreneur. You don't just wake up and just become like this big business mogul. It takes hours and hours of training, dedication, and having the right mindset, and just being realistic and patience. Patience is the key. You know, so if you're just getting started, you know, don't take on too much. You know, start off with something. See if you can actually be successful. If you can make money off one truck per se, if you can make money maybe with a food cart, not getting a food truck, not getting a restaurant, it's just like the subway. You know,
you gotta understand that everybody thought it's a little different.
Yeah.
Seeing that if I had a truck compared to if I had a cart, which would be better. I can go play. I can go play. I can set up at different places.
Mm-hmm.
I can do more with a truck than I can with just a cart.
Yeah, it all depends on what it is. You know, I mean, if it's something that's, you know, like if I got a food cart, basically, it's a little bit more manageable because it's smaller. You know, so now if I have a actual food truck, now that's a whole different dynamic. Now I got to have somewhere to put it. You know, I got to have a storage area for it. You know, I have to have generators. And so now you got bigger operational costs. Mm-hmm. You know, and maybe what you're selling isn't going to generate enough revenue to cover that. You know, so it all depends on the product that you're selling. So you want to start off with something that's manageable so you can kind of get an idea of a track record of what type of volume what type of revenue that you bring in. Because it all goes back to revenue. Mm-hmm. You know, is it quality enough? Am I charging enough for the product? You know, and so you want to find that out with as little loss as possible. So if I just got a cart that maybe I only spent $1,500 on, and now I'm realizing that my business model isn't right, that's more of a mistake I can recover from as to spending maybe $70,000, $80,000 on a food truck and realizing that I'm not bringing in enough revenue, because it's like, now what?
That's good. That's good to know. That's a incredible move. But you know, people that I know, they don't think like that. Right. They think, you know, oh, now I have this truck, I have this business, and the business is cool. Well, how can I make the business better than what it is? It's like they always try to rush things to happen instead of taking time and being relaxed and wait till you get to that point before you try to force something else to happen. And when you do that, it's like you set yourself up for a problem, for a failure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And I tell people sometimes you have to just relax and just take things a little bit slow until you see where you will open the door. If you don't, you might be incurring a problem that's going to be a major problem you will help. It'll hurt you to get out of the problem. It'll cost you less to get out of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the failures with businesses is because you're trying to impress someone else. You're allowing other people's opinions of what people may think you should be doing to affect you, and not looking at the practicality of it.
Well, how can you not thinking about what it look like to someone else than what it really is to you?
Well, I just tell people it's just about being realistic, you know, because, you know, I can't, you know, if I wanted to start boxing, I can't step in a ring with the heavyweight champion my first fight. You know, I'm going to get knocked out usually.
Well, you can do as you want to.
Yeah, I can.
But you'll be sorry.
Yes, exactly. Everybody remember what you did to Martin. See, remember when Martin thought he could get in the ring with you? Is that what happened to him?
See,
and it's the same thing. It's just about being realistic.
This comes from misjudging a person. Looking at a person and seeing what your eyes see and say, oh, well, I can do this, I can do that. But it's not always like that.
Right.
That person might have something in the back you never ever seen.
Exactly. And you got to worry about competition, too. I mean, some people, they're worried about competition. Like if you're in the food industry, if you're in the hair industry, being a barber, a mechanic, whatever the case may be, you're going to have competition. So there's no ideas that you can think of that nobody else thought of.
I thought I wanted to be a barber one day. I had my first bad haircut. Changed my mind real quickly. Because the person, when you get a bad haircut, the person don't want to pay for it.
I think you chose the right profession.
Yeah.
I think you chose right.
I do too, because when I chose boxing, I was able to think what to do and how to do it. But when I was out there in the street, I didn't know. So I thought about things that I shouldn't. I had things in my mind that I shouldn't have had on my mind. Was different than what I was really supposed to be doing.
Right.
But I wanted to do it. And I go, how can I not do this and get away with it? If you do something, it's gonna come to light. Somebody gonna see that you're doing it wrong, or somebody will see what you're doing and say, "Hey, so we got to get ready to close this up right now, because I have enjoyed talking with you, and we had a great
yes,
show."
indeed.
Tell him to give all his contact information.
Yeah. So before we go off the show, why don't you give up your contact information so people can contact you?
Sure. You can go to my website. It's HyperionCapital.net. That's HYPERION capital.net. You can follow me on Instagram at Hyperion_Capital. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Anwar Khalil Williams. And if you have any credit questions, or if you're trying to get your own business started, you need funding, I'm definitely here to help.
And thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Ken.
Listen, today, man, I'm sure that today, by hearing what you said today, you have a lot of people. A lot of people going to be grateful for you being on the show today.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, bro. Take care of yourself.
Yep.